Maiden in the 33rd, Dáil. Well, actually, it's not that either. No. Ceann Comhairle, European Union's shame is on display in the Greek islands at the moment. It pretends to be some bastion of progressivity, is really exposed with the harrowing and terrible scenes of thousands and thousands of desperate men, women and children fleeing the most horrendous circumstances of war, of oppression, of displacement, of conflict, and then being penned up in this way, subject to violence, living in the most appalling conditions. It really exposes, frankly, the horrible priorities and moral bankruptcy of the European Union, that we are going to spend €38 billion on beefing up Fortress Europe to keep human beings out is nothing more than shameful. The fact that this most recent wave of the crisis results essentially from the rotten deal we did with the brutal and repressive regime of Erdogan and other similar deals we've done with rotten, vicious, brutal militias in Libya and so on, really should bring shame to the European Union. Now, Deputies Murphy and later Deputy Smith will take this issue up in more detail, but I just want to say I expect our representatives in Europe to speak out about this, to ask to end the inhumane policy of keeping these human beings out, and to, instead of put resources into more military spending, into more Frontex, into more Fortress Europe security, that those resources should be put into giving a welcome to people fleeing here, and indeed to put into the resources and services that we need, both for them and for all of our citizens in Europe, and to end this shameful treatment of these desperate people. But I do also, because obviously a big issue that is now the dominant issue in Europe is the coronavirus, and I know it's going to be discussed later, but there is a European dimension. It's a global crisis we are now facing, and as we speak, the figures are rising in the European Union. And I think there's a number of issues that we need to address at a European level. I think we need to say, first of all, that any actions that we need to take in order to address this crisis and this threat that may run foul of intellectual property rules around vaccines, around research in those areas, proprietary rules or property rules governing medicine, its distribution, around, for example, making use of the capacity of private for-profit hospitals in order to deal with the capacity problems we may face, that we need to say that should be done. And if rules need to be broken, or fiscal rules for that matter, or state aid rules need to be broken in order to address any of these issues, that should be done. And I think that is terribly important that we do that. And also, I think we should say across Europe, if there's any profiteering on the back of this crisis, i.e. people trying to raise the prices and profiteer from the shortages in personal protective equipment, in hand sanitizers, in any of the medicines that people may need to access, it should be severely punished. Severe sanctions should be imposed on any sign of that across Europe. So I just want to make those points in terms of containing the virus, notwithstanding the debate that will take about our specific situation here in Ireland later this evening. The other thing I just want to say in my last few seconds, oh no, I'm out of time. I just want to say on the Mercosur deal, any talk of commitment to dealing with climate change is completely incompatible with anything other than abandoning the Mercosur deal. And we should be saying that absolutely loud and clear, and we should also be saying that state aid rules should be completely suspended when it comes to taking the sort of emergency measures or action necessary to address climate change issues. So I think we need to start to say that very loud and clear, because frankly, many of the state aid rules are completely incompatible with the necessary actions we have to take in order to address the climate emergency.